Let's read Cicero's Pro Caelio, chapter 75. Now, what happened before? We actually skipped quite a lot of stuff beforehand. We had a malicious and skillful digression on poison, and then Cicero returned to talking about the poison and gold plot. And then from chapter 70 to chapter 80, it's the final stretch. 70 to 80 is where he's talking about the summary of the speech, the peroratio, in which he stirs up the emotion to max level and kind of sums up everything he said about Caelius and makes you feel really sympathetic towards Caelius. So this is kind of in the middle of that peroratio, that summary. Caelius's reputation gets threatened, but he pulls clear of trouble. In hoc flexu quasi aetatis. That is, in this, flexu is turning point, and then quasi is as if. So in this turning point, as it were, of age. And what does he mean by turning point? It's a reference to chariot racing. I've drawn a little chariot racing track here. This is a bird's eye view, and there's the seats here. And what would happen is your chariots, I can't remember if it's clockwise or anti-clockwise, they'll go all the way around here, and then at the end, either end of the track, there are poles, various like markers that would be the thing that got to turn around to make the corner. And that's the bit where it's most likely that you're going to crash. There's going to be conflict. It's also the opportunity for people to overtake each other and cut in this turning point, as it were, of age. So he's talking a chariot racing metaphor. Nihil enim occultabo fretus humanitatem sapientia vestra. That is, I will hide nothing. And then enim is for I will hide nothing. Fretus means relying on, agreeing with the subject, Cicero. I will hide nothing, relying on your humanity, i.e., your human kindness, and on your wisdom. So I'm going to hide nothing about him. So there was this turning point, this critical point of age, of youth. In this critical point, madules gentis Paulu laisit admetas notitia nova eius mulieris et infelici vicinitatet insolentia voluptatum. That is, the fame, the reputation of the young man stuck a little, and then paululum is just a little bit. It's even more like less than paulum. Paululum is a little bit. Admetas, to the turning post. So that's that bit there. It stuck a little to the turning post means it hit a little against the turning post. That's something that would happen if your chariot driver was just a little bit too aggressive and cut in front, tried to cut the corner, and for that they hit the turning post a bit, possibly. Maybe leading to a crash, but this is just a little bit. We kind of grazed the edge of that. No, ditia no. That is ablative case. Because of it's ablative cause. Because of the new acquaintance. So Noah new, notitia, knowledge or acquaintance. Eius mulieris is of that woman. So the new has this connotation of strange and like foreign, unused to kind of acquaintance of that woman, and because of the unlucky neighborhood, the Wikinitas, which is another reference to like the kind of neighborhood, the neighborhood scene in comedy, as well as just the neighborhood of the Palatine being near that woman. Et insolentia voluptatum. That is, and the uh, unaccustomedness of pleasures, and his being unaccustomed to pleasures. Literally, voluptatum is genitive case. Quae, cum inclusae diutius, et prima etate compresset constrictae fuerunt, quae is picking up pleasures. Pleasures which, when they have been, fuerunt is the have been, and then it's kind of linking up with the participle inclusae, when they have been shut up for too long. Diutius literally is longer, but you can interpret the comparative as too long. And they've been repressed, or like compressed, I could literally mean compressed. Pressed, but with a strengthening com bit. I'm going to say repressed in the first age. The first stage is the early stage of your life. And so when they've been shut up for too long and repressed in your early age and constricted, suddenly se non nunquam profundunt atque iciunt universi. Suddenly they non nunquam, that's a litotes, example of denying the negative to emphasize the positive. Not never means sometimes or quite often. Be happy to translate it either as sometimes or rather frequently. They suddenly sometimes profundat, pour themselves forth, say, is the object of profundunt, and pour forth, I guess you could say, like they spout out suddenly sometimes, and they eicunt universi is they go out all at once. Universi is feminine plural nominative, agreeing with the quae, which is picking up voluptates. Qua ex vita vel dicam quo ex sermone. I love how Cicero corrects himself while he's speaking. From like qua vita agrees, and it's all in the ablative because of ex. From this life, and the qua is like a connecting relative here. From this life, well, decum, or I will say, or I should say, can't really tell whether that's meant to be future indicative or a subjunctive present, or rather, I would say, from this speech. So sermo is, it could be rumor, just like talk about him having done bad things in his youth. Nequaquenim tanterat quam domines loquebantur. For it wasn't at all as great, and that's the was, it wasn't at all as great as people were saying. So, but as great, by that he really means like as bad as monstrous as. For it wasn't at all as bad as people were saying. Where rexeo quicquiderat emersit. Indeed, from that, whatever it was, he emerged. Totumque se eiecit atque stulit. And he threw himself out, literally, or you could say ejected himself out, or he brought himself out of it, and then totum is like wholly, as in he totally got himself out. It's agreeing with say. He got himself totally out, and he brought himself out. Yeah, find some non-repetitious way to say that in English. Tantum quab est ab illius familiaritatis infamia, ut eiustem nunc ab se sinimicitias odiumque propuset. And he is so greatly, like tantum is adverbial, he is so far away, abes is away from, illius familiaritatis infamia. Ab takes the ablative, so it's not from her, but from the infamy of that woman's familiarity. Actually, yeah, let's see the sequence that the cases go in. Ab takes ablative, infamia, from the infamy of the familiarity of the close acquaintance, genitive, of that woman, genitive, describing the familiarity describing the infamy. He is so far away from that woman's acquaintance infamy that he now propuset is he repels, or he's like fighting back absese up from himself. Sese is just a doubled form of se. He repels from himself the hostilities and hatred of the same woman. Idem eadem. Idem is the same. So, in addition, let's see, what kind of imagery did we find in this passage? We had the chariot racing imagery. Let's see if we can highlight that. That was the flexu and paululum haesit ad metas. He stuck against that that turning point. But you're kind of rooting for him in this metaphor. You're watching him go around the track and you're like, oh, he almost got there. Then we have another image, which is that of pleasures as like liquids that have been bottled up for too long. Liquids that are inclusi, compressi, and constricti. I'd say that is a good example of tricolon. And then they profundunt and eicunt. So we've got the liquid imagery, probably I'd say similar to like if you were bottling up wine that's being fermented, it would really fizz up and pour out at once. So yeah, some kind of liquid imagery and the chariot racing. All of these things kind of make you feel like it's just natural that Caelius would falter sometimes, because even if the more unused to pleasures he is, the more vulnerable he is to them when he gets into the real world. So he's just feel sorry for him. He's doing the best he could, and he is trying his best as a young man.